All right, in this recording, this is going to be a short recording, but we're going to look at our muscles of breathing, right? So the muscles that are able to move our thoracic cavity, so move our ribs and increase the size of our thoracic cavity during inhalation, and then compress it and decrease the size during exhalation. So as we said, this will be relatively short. So the first muscle is the one that we most commonly think of and commonly associate with breathing, which is known as the diaphragm, right? So in order to see the diaphragm in this image, we're going to have to look from an inferior view. So if we rotate the body downward, this large muscle that we see here is the diaphragm, okay? Now you may notice that there are holes in the diaphragm. These are called, this is a hiatus, and there are different hiatuses, different openings to allow different vessels to pass through. So things like the aorta and the inferior vena cava, as well as the esophagus as well, okay? So that is the diaphragm. When the diaphragm contracts, so normally it's dome-shaped. So during relaxation, you can see here it's kind of domed shape. And then as we inhale, the diaphragm is actually going to flatten out, and when it flattens out, it increases the size of the thoracic cavity, and by increasing the size of the thoracic cavity, it allows air to be drawn into the lungs, and then you can have breathing occur. Now, it's a little more complicated than that, but that's the general idea here, okay? All right, we also have muscles called intercostal muscles, okay? So if you think about the term intercostal, what does costal mean? Costal means rib, and so intercostal muscles are the muscles in between the ribs, all right? So if we look here, we can see muscles right here, and if we look at this side, I'm gonna hide this layer, we can also see ones right here. So this is going to be our external and our internal intercostal muscles. Now, just like with the obliques that we talked about in the previous video, so if you've watched the abdominal and back muscle recording, then you know we talked about our internal and external obliques. Well, the external obliques and the external intercostal muscles are going to have the same fiber orientation. So these are going to be running from superolaterally to inferomedially, all right? So they're running toward the midline of the body in a downward direction. So that's the external intercostal. So we see these right here. These are going to be involved in inspiration, so breathing in, all right? So it's kind of, one way you can remember it is the term external. So think external, and the opposite of that would be in, so inspiration. So external intercostals are good for inspiration. Whenever we look at our internal intercostals here, these have the same fiber orientation as our internal oblique. So they're running from inferolaterally to superomedially, and these are the internal intercostals are going to be good for expiration, so breathing out, okay? So again, these three muscles are the diaphragm, the external intercostals, and the internal intercostals.